Welcome to the Land Department Podcast, the state of land and energy as we see it.
Guys, it's only fitting that we record this first Dudley cocktail hour after the college football season. I know we had a great weekend. What a great kickoff to it, right? Don't you agree, Brent?
Hey, man. Listen, I've got interference here. Okay. I'm going to have to leave you guys. I'm still a little sensitive about it.
Are you still excited about Kelly being over there? Or are you regretting it?
I'm rolling with my guy. Okay.
Rolling with your guy.
If we're going to lose, we're going to lose with old BK. And he looks terrible in purple, but that's all right. He's my guy.
He does look bad. He does look bad in purple.
It's terrible. We need a special teams guy, so if anybody knows someone, they got to be better than what we have. Send them my way. I'm about to go down here to Katy High School and recruit their special teams guy.
You probably could. Man,
see, I wasn't going to start drinking in this happy hour until, maybe like after the intro, but dang it.
Yeah, we're talking about football. So we got Brent, for listeners, Brent, LSU guy. If you didn't know his last name, now it's Broussard. It makes more sense.
I got the
papers. Steve, Penn State.
Big fourth quarter comeback win against the powerhouse of Purdue.
The Boilermakers. No, and then we got Brandon, Arkansas. Who did you guys had a top 25 play?
Oh, Woo Pig. Yeah, Cincinnati.
Wow.
I knew this, but they were in the playoffs last year.
Unlike Arkansas.
They were in the playoffs last year.
A blind suey pig finds a
Whoa, Khalil. Whoa.
And then I've got the Sooners, OU, of course, and we played UTEP. So if we didn't win, something was going to be wrong. Mm-hmm. But we lost our
170. Something's wrong.
Yeah, I know. We didn't reach that, but we'll see. I think we have probably the easiest schedule of one of the big schools. So
yeah, I think we're all excited for when you join the SEC. It should be pretty interesting.
Oh God, we're going to be. We'll probably lose to Arkansas every year.
For at least
Brandon,
5 years.
Yeah, I hope so.
5 years, then you'll catch up. You'll be like,
then we'll catch up.
I'm in Oklahoma City, so I am so ready for OU and Arkansas to start playing.
It's going to be great.
And you know what's great about it is, if we lose to OU, I'm the only Arkansas fan, so it doesn't really matter. If we beat OU, I get to give hundreds of people.
That's so true.
So I'm in a great spot here.
We're going to have to keep Brandon out of the HubSpot login for our CRM. He might be sending trash talking to the whole client base.
Yeah, he probably will.
There's no doubt.
Well, I'm excited to have everybody together. We've done Dudley Roundtable for about a year, and we're starting off this podcast with the replacement of it, and we're introducing drinks to it for cocktail hour. So hopefully get a little more interesting conversation, maybe more slurring, who knows. But yeah, we want to be talking about the state of land and do it in a fun way as well. So going to be covering quite a bit of different topics today, everything from just general oil and gas to renewables and even right of way. But I'm going to let you guys do a lot of the talking. First thing I want to just catch up on is recent activity. What are you guys seeing out there in the oil and gas arena?
You want me? I'll kick it off down here. I mean, it's like everybody, continued growth. I mean, it's nothing crazy. There's a lot of optimism in the business. We're adding people and projects slowly but surely. The summer was pretty slow on due diligence activity, but we've seen some of that pick up the last month or so, which is good. We're starting to dive into some of the post-merger type projects that have come with some of the big Permian mergers. So we're starting to do some deduct analysis, some deduction type work, land administration, corporate land development type stuff, which is good. We did a lot of that at the beginning of the year, spinning off of some of the mergers from last year. So kind of jumping right into that. Natural gas, like everybody, it's a big deal. We're starting to see some of that activity pick up. In past episodes, we talked about, God, when is it going to happen? Waiting on that thing to happen. And we're starting to see some of that. So it's good to see places like East Texas, parts of North Louisiana, kind of some of the fringy Haynesville stuff pick up. Some of the central East Texas projects are starting to kick off. And they're all gas related, so that's good. So we're in a big gear up down here, to kind of staff these projects and get geared up for some acquisition type jobs and some leasing type work. So that's exciting time. I mean, that's what a field landman loves, right? Is anytime you can go bird dog some leases, that's kind of where we shine. And that's the exciting work. So our guys are real pumped about that. We're really working on staffing, working on bringing in the right people. But that's the name of the game right now, is bringing in good folks, staffing up some of the projects in East Texas and North Louisiana again, and then just plugging right along on all our Permian Basin, Eagle Ford work and things like that.
Yeah, it kind of has the feeling of the more consistent, better feeling that we had in 2015. If might say the little brother of 2015, where the first 3 quarters of the year were really, I mean, back in then it was really slow. We weren't that slow the first 3 quarters, but you're seeing a good finish to 2022. And we kind of expected that to happen, especially people have to get optimism is one thing, but actually pull the trigger on some things is a completely different story. We're starting to see people pull the trigger on some projects and kind of bite off a little bit more. So, like I said, that's the exciting times. We love that. We love helping our clients, and it's just, I'm hoping it lasts more than just a quarter. We'll see.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, up here it's been interesting seeing people actually going back into those outlying areas that haven't been touched in a few years. So we're having calls and meetings with some folks who are branching out into different parts of Ohio, some of the non-traditional aspects of Pennsylvania. So it's good to get those calls and that interest in the outlying areas where there hasn't been that in 5-6 years.
Yeah, it's with all the pickup in activity, it's been a little bit harder on the workforce side. Brent, we were talking about resource availability just being really challenging for most people in the land industry now. How are you seeing things going to play out in the next several months with this? What's going to be changing on the workforce side?
Competition. It's going to be very competitive for good landmen. Yeah. I mean, we have weekly meetings in our staff meetings about don't you dare let anybody go without a day of work. There's plenty of opportunity. You can't afford to have someone, be in between jobs because they're going to get sniped. They're going to get picked up by someone. I mean, it's all you need is a phone call. 1 phone call or 2 phone calls, if you're a good landman, will get you working. And we can't afford to lose anybody. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to hire some people. So don't let your landmen slip. We'll be going after them. And that's the name of the game, right? It's a bit more of a challenge now than maybe what we've all experienced in kind of some of the previous upticks in activity where you had big projects, big crews, you could keep those people working. Well, we've got a little bit of a mix where we've got established oil projects, all over the Gulf Coast, Texas, Oklahoma, where those crews are going, but they're much smaller, right? You've got a handful of people working for every client. And then at the same time, we've got some of the natural gas plays that are requiring larger crews. You're acquiring acreage, you're doing all those things. So you're like balancing, trying to fill big crews, but also trying to keep up with the existing work and everything that's going on there. So it's a lot of coordination, a lot of collaboration amongst the managers and amongst even the offices, within the company to keep our core people working. And then identifying talent. There's a lot of people coming back into the business that we're seeing, folks that got out in 2020 because they had to feed their family. And who can you blame for that? But there's some good folks coming back. There's some other people, that are just good role players. They've got a very good skill set. Maybe they're good at certain things. They're starting to come back, getting out of the insurance and title industry business side of things. So we're looking to get those folks, and we're being very aggressive in our staffing, and I'm sure everybody else is. Our competition is as well. We're starting to see it on that front.
Yeah. I mean, to Brent's point, we lost people in 2015 that we're still trying to get back. I mean, it's I have a couple good friends who unfortunately, with everything that happened back then, wrong time, wrong place, but still see them every once in a while. I'm like, hey, when you come back to Dudley? Like, when can we make this happen? Because good people are really hard to find right now. But really hard to find. They're not really hard to keep, I don't think, but they're very hard to find. Coming off other projects, I mean, it's all timing.
Yeah, and I think it's a process too. I think you get a project. If it's a bigger project, it's okay to staff it with 3 or 4 or 5 people and then work your way into that 10, 15, 20, whatever it is. I think that's reality right now, what you got to do. There were days when we could, and we could still, don't get me wrong, if you needed a staff of 50 in a week or two, we could make that happen. We just don't have that need right now. So point is, you staff it with what you can, and you make sure you find the right people. We're not throwing bodies at anything. That's just not our style. We really try to identify the right people, call references, or work with them before. Our database helps out with that because we've worked with a lot of landmen in the past, and we kind of know how they work and what they do, and we put our research in before we bring somebody on. So I think that's key. And there's more than one way to skin a cat. We can make it happen. It's just it takes a little bit more work these days than it did 10 years ago.
And kind of to add to that, we've been very fortunate to keep a good core group of people working for a long time. Many people 10, 12, 15 years, have been contracting with us. And the great kind of cool thing about these cycles is that you get to give people leadership opportunities, folks that know your culture, know about Dudley, know how you operate, know your systems and your databases and what's acceptable and what's not, and what the standard is. Well, you can put those people in leadership roles. And so that's a big thing we talk about every week also is who's the next person, who's somebody who's got potential that we can give and delegate some responsibility to, and give them an opportunity to shine and replicate the product and the standards that we try to put out. So that's the exciting thing. I mean, all of us here got our opportunities on increases in activity. Industry pickup, we got an opportunity because, Dudley recognized what we could do and gave us opportunities. So that's kind of exciting. We're real excited about that. We're real excited about, starting to bring some new people into the business. We're talking about training again. We're talking about landman school. These are all things that we're preparing for, because we can go with staffing existing landmen, for a few more months. But if things continue to pick up, we got to start having a real conversation about, okay, how do we feed our business? How do we feed field landmen? How do we bring new people in? And those are all things you better be thinking about if you want to be able to scale and provide service in increased activity times.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, then, at least up here in Oklahoma, at TU and OU and all these schools, Texas Tech and Louisiana, Lafayette, you had great, petroleum management students, and there were a lot of them. With the downturn, what you've seen is those departments and the students that are in those departments have drastically decreased. And that hurts because that new crop of landmen that are coming in, and we did our training class and test, and we field trained them with a seasoned vet, and now there's less of a pool. But I think what you'll see with this increased activity, these universities are going to be able to sell that program to more kids, and you just hope that the industry stays up so that we can now take those PM degree students that are in that program and train them the right way, and get them into the industry, get them into the field, whether they go on and be in-house landmen or not. I think that field training and what we've done in the past and what we talk about a lot now truly puts them on a path to success. And hopefully that the industry can keep up with that. Hopefully the universities are able to keep up with that as well.
Well, the other thing with our clients, we went through a cycle the same way of we need people train or get these people in and figure out a way to train them. Then that went away to all the local. You need to be local. You can't have the ridiculous hotel costs, blah, blah, blah. And now they're coming around and saying, okay, I get it. We need people just as much as you do, and we need good people. So you're seeing the client side come back around onto, the same level that we are of how do we get good people in here.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing as a service organization. You have to have client support. If you're gonna invest, it's an investment in someone, and it's an investment in training and bringing that person up to speed where they can truly stand alone. As an independent contractor, and if you don't have client support, it's hard. It's difficult. So to Steve's point, we are starting to see that come around, and it's understood. And for those companies who really invest in that on the service side, you reap the benefits. So it's a lot of work. It's a whole bunch of work, but
yeah,
we're ready to get on. And
I think a lot of these,
expect to see in the next year, if things continue, we'll be right back in the training landmen again, which is exciting.
and I think a lot of these folks that we're dealing with as clients now, they understand that a good workforce is hard to come by. I mean, the days of infinite number of landmen being available is just not there anymore. So the more that they can feel comfortable and with the work that's going on, I mean, it just makes everyone's life a lot easier.
And Khalil, I gotta correct myself. I showed my age a little bit. I called it petroleum land management class or degree. It's actually called energy management now. So let me correct myself and not tell you how old I am.
Speaking about old, I mean, this is the TSD vintage. That tells you how
That's
old
a
you are.
throwback cup there.
You've been around a minute.
Yeah,
That might be
That
might be worth something.
That logo's 15 years old.
I think that's worth something.
I think it is. I sell them on Etsy all the time. I'm making
I didn't know you had a side hustle, Brent.
I'm a landman. I got all kinds of side hustles. I may not have a job next week, Khalil. That reality is pretty good.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that's reality right there.
Well, in that same vein of the change from petroleum management to energy management, there's a couple hires on the non-independent contractor side that Dudley's looking to make, and it's the renewables side. You want to give a minute for that, Brent?
Yeah. Oh man. I want somebody to just be ambitious. Somebody to go get it. No, I mean, in all reality, oil and gas is what we built our company on. It's what we're going to be. I mean, we're landmen. We work in the energy business, right? And our predecessors didn't have the renewables business,
right?
To serve. And we're fortunate enough. That's our thing. That's going to be the thing of our careers that we all talk about as service providers. Like, what industries did we work in? Well, we're an oil and gas service provider, but the renewable space needs landmen, and they need land people, and they need expertise and experience, and we're learning more and more about that. And so is that side of the business. I mean, we've all, as landmen, spent a lot of time, if you're working in that space, educating our client base on, this is what we can do. This is what you need us for. This is what you need maybe a title company for. And so with that is, provide a lot of opportunity. All of our managers are hooked up. They're busy. And, we want to hire some. We're at the point we're ready to bring in some people and to really run with that renewables business. We're working in 4 or 5 different sectors of that space. And, it really needs some attention. We're excited about it. It's an opportunity for us to bring someone in new. But we have a very specific eye for what we want. And so therefore, there's just a handful of people who really meet that. And so real big push on our end to grow our team, bring in some new leadership, bring in some people that can really embrace that and run with it, because the opportunity's there. It's an exciting time for us, but a lot of work goes into that. A lot of work to find someone who really wants to go and grow something, and we'll find that person. They're there, certainly. But that's the season we're in here at Dudley. It's trying to hire some people that'll grow with us and really run with our model and kind of continue the Dudley legacy in that space.
Yeah. And it's definitely a growing space. Just a couple weeks ago, Inflation Reduction Act passed. Seemed to be about everything except for inflation reduction in some people's opinions.
Very much so.
But definitely some interesting things on the renewable side, and specifically with carbon capture. I'll read off some stats here. Incentives for industrial and power generation facilities increased from $50 per ton of storage to $85 per ton of storage, and then for utilization, $35 to $60 per ton, and then for the capture facilities, increased from $50 per ton for storage to $180 per storage, which is more than triple. Then incentives increased from $50 to $130 for utilization, so still a big jump there. You can also get direct cash credits. There's all sorts of things going on with this, but what does that mean for the land space with renewables?
God, so much
It means that people.
I mean, it's economic. We can all talk about this, but
It's
I mean,
all land.
you triple the
There's so much
investment. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, there's a lot of land work involved with it. I mean, when you talk about the carbon space, you're not just talking about a 700 acre solar farm. You're talking about tens of thousands of acres, hundreds of landowners, pipelines. It's all land related activity, which is really exciting for us. And it's not specifically in one location. I mean, you're looking at it from the Midwest to out in the West to Texas. It's exciting to see all that new activity. And as we've talked before, that carbon space seems to be the most equitable deal towards our traditional oil and gas land work. So it's opening up not new basins, but new areas for us, a place that we can expand to. I think there's only going to be growth with it. And yes, you're right. They should have called it something else, like the Non-Inflation Reduction Act. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of folks out there with a lot of capital behind them who are going to be expanding. So it's a exciting time for us to get into that, or to be involved in that.
Well,
I was going to say, it just expanded the credits, right? The carbon credits too. I mean, that's as soon as that thing was passed, I think I mean, it was no less than 10 phone calls on new projects from wind companies, solar companies. I think Brent and Steve got carbon capture. Companies are wanting to do carbon capture, and it's pretty exciting because I'll say this: half of them went, oh, like for solar, you need to do a lot of mineral work as well. So a lot of mineral title. They say, oh, you do mineral title too? So they don't really, that industry doesn't know what resources are out there for them. So it's exciting to talk to them about those things and tell them our process and that we've done it before. They're also astonished that we've done it. We've been doing it long enough to where we've got a pretty good handle on what needs to be done and what they're looking for. And in some cases, a better idea than what they have. So that part of it is exciting for me, just from the teaching experience of what little I know about it in the few short years that we've kind of been in this space. It's pretty cool. And there's a lot of opportunities out there for not only a land company like us, but for these developers.
What's fun for me is I reached out to a guy, I won't say what company or whatever, last week, and we got on the phone, and we were on the phone for about 45 minutes, and he owns a camp literally a mile away from our family's camp up in Clarion, PA. And it's been a while since I've actually had new conversations with people in the oil and gas space. You almost start to know everybody. So it's been fun for me reaching out and actually meeting new people and seeing what they're doing. And, it opens up a whole new space as I get older in my life to, advance not just Dudley, but your personal relationships and really missing those old BD days of getting to know people really well.
And Steve is getting
In a new conversation.
Steve is getting older in his life. I mean,
It's
getting much
coming.
older in his life. Look at him.
Mm-hmm. The last 7 years, he's aged maybe 14.
It's the daughters, man. There's 3 daughters. They'll really get you.
You're starting to age in dog years.
Now, don't show me a Hallmark, like any kind of Hallmark video. I might start crying. So it's easy.
Don't watch ET again.
Oh, it'll get you. No, that's the fun part. I mean, it's we're landmen take for granted how much they really know and where their skills can be applied. And it's just exciting for opportunities to showcase what a landman can do and to have value in what our people do and to help people. Hey, there's a better way of doing this. There's an efficient way of doing this. Let me share with you what we're doing. Hire us or not, let's talk about what's needed and what goes into this, and whether someone hires you or not, you're able to help them, educate them, help them have a better understanding of what they need to do, what's available to them, what the steps are and what the process is, and that's the cool thing about being a landman. It's telling people what you do. We think it's a small circle. To Steve's point, in the land business, if you're around long enough, you recognize somebody. You recognize just about everybody you see. But to be out into a different space is really cool. It's really fun.
It's neat.
Yeah. Well, and with the new space and the growth into it means new conferences. And Brandon, you're going to uncharted territory. You may not survive out there, but you're headed to Anaheim for the RE Plus conference. How do you feel about that, man?
Yay, California.
I'm about to spin skinny jeans and cut off his socks.
Hey, I'm coming. Anaheim.
Yeah, you gonna rent a
Get
Tesla
ready.
out there?
Oh, hey, man, those Teslas fly.
Oh, they're awesome.
They're like rocket ships,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm all about it. They need all kinds of energy to fuel them, so I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Headed out to RE Plus. Seems to be it's extremely well attended. I think, what do we count? 750 exhibitors, and I think there's going to probably be, what was it, Steve? I know we were doing the numbers last week. It was like 5,000 people, 7,000 people.
I think it's
something
more
like
than that. From the floor plan, it looks like the biggest conference that we've ever been to. I mean, it's massive.
It's massive, and if you're in the green energy space, it's the place to be. It looks like. So I'm really excited about that. Taking our utility right-of-way manager with me. We're going to spend 3 days out there and try to meet as many people as possible and make some connections. So, and have some fun doing it. So, but it really does seem like a growing event. I think they're going to see a lot more of these events being extremely well attended.
Yeah.
Lots of networking opportunities. So I'm excited about it. That'll be real neat. And also, you'll learn a lot. They've got it's class after or seminar after seminar, speakers after speakers. They've got a great lineup. So you're going to learn a lot as well. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think to Brandon's point earlier, a lot of these groups don't know that companies like us exist, So to be able to get our name out there and show them what we can do, and hey, here's what we can save you some money, or here's how we can be more efficient. It's going to be part of the growing. I don't want to say pains, but it is what it is, right? You have to get out in front of folks to let them know what you do.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk about it when I get back, Khalil. It'll be podcast number 2.
There we go. Yeah, a little recap.
Or 3, or wherever we're at.
Well, along those same lines, we wanted to dedicate some time to the right-of-way work that's kind of going on and things that Dudley's got activity in. specifically with pipelines and then some of the renewables utility stuff. Let's talk about some of that those midstream areas, Brent.
Yeah, I mean, so, with natural gas prices being what they are, that opens a lot of fringe acreage. The fringe of the Permian, the fringe of the Haynesville, all that becomes very much viable. Just the markets there, that more and more LNG facilities coming in the Gulf Coast, it supports more investment in the midstream space. And just over the last month, I mean, we've seen more activity from at least proposals together. People asking us, hey, can you help us go through this cost exercise? There's a lot more conversation in the space than we've seen in, God, the last 3 or 4 years, to be honest. So that's exciting. The right-of-way space is something we've always done. It's been on a smaller scale, a lot of gathering work, a lot of things that just really spun off of our upstream clients. But, we feel like we're poised to capitalize on some of the bigger jobs and some of the bigger opportunities. It's a big, important part of our diversification as a company. So really excited for some of those opportunities. We think we've got some clients that want to work with us, and that side of the business is hungry for, some companies that can come in with some scale and compete. And we're excited for it. We'll jump right in. We think we can compete with the best of them in that space. And we're excited for the opportunities we feel like we're going to have here this year. Encouraged by the amount of interest in the pipeline space that we're starting to see. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. Pipelines and utilities, the right-of-way space is another space that expands beyond oil and gas, right? Essentially the same things you do for a big oil and gas pipeline, you're doing for a big utility right-of-way. So it really, for a land company that's been doing this for as long as we have, it really transitions well into the renewables. And that's something that we have done, and we want to do a lot more of it. And there's a lot out there and they need help, like Brent was saying. I mean, these companies are doing a lot of work, and they need more resources, and we'd like to be one of those for them, for sure.
It's kind of going to the education side of things, to Brandon's point with renewables companies, that they know they need some land agents to go negotiate agreements or do vesting ownership reports. And then they know they need some land people to help with their title policies to build abstracts. And then they feel like they need some people to help build a transmission line to connect all their wind farms. Well, the big thing for us is like, yeah, we do all of that. We can be your company. And so it's really, putting that all together. Folks in the oil and gas space know Dudley Land and know what we do. And so it's an understood thing. The renewable space, we're having to teach them that. And it's a great opportunity for us, for them to establish a relationship with a group that they like and trust that can be with them from, the most high level 30,000 foot view scouting efforts down to, connecting their wind farm or their solar project in the transmission. So exciting for us. It's something that we want to make sure we're part of.
Yeah. A lot of growth in those areas moving forward. And I wanted to get your guys' opinions, and this is kind of a curveball, but we'll see how you guys handle it after a couple cocktails. Predictions,
get it out of the park.
Predictions for 2023, as we're kind of wrapping up Q3 this month, what are we looking forward to next year? We've talked about some of these things already with, needing to get more resources and getting more people staffed on jobs out there, more work in the renewable space, a lot of right-of-way work. What else are we seeing?
I see a lot of interest in how this winter goes with Europe and just with the energy supply. They shut down that last pipeline in Russia. So I'm going to be real interested to see how high energy prices go. Yeah. And see, how much are the majority willing to come back to fossil fuels to bridge us through this renewable green energy growth. I mean, I think that you need some folks actually still pitching the fossil fuels. I mean, there is no other bridge. So I think the winter holds a lot in store for how high prices are going to go, what we're going to see from our output in America versus OPEC and the rest of the world. So it's going to be an interesting next 6 months.
Well, and let's face it, there's nothing cleaner than natural gas. Nothing.
Right.
So, and I feel like our political leaders and political leaders around the world are starting to come to that conclusion. There is nothing cleaner than natural gas. And it's proven over and over. I think I've always said that the marketing dollars that were spent on green energy, which is great, we need it all, right? I mean, we need every bit of it. Every resource we can get to create energy, we need, including nuclear. That's what I believe, at least, and everything in moderation. So, but if the marketing dollars, I'll bring up Aubrey McClendon, did a great job at this. He was always marketing and selling natural gas. Why? Because he believed that it is our future. And I still believe that. So if those same marketing dollars were spent on showing natural gas as the cleanest energy there is, which it is, the same marketing dollars were spent for that as there are on this green initiative, our world would be in a better place because we would have a better ratio of natural gas and green energy going on in the United States at least. We wouldn't be spending near as much money. That timeline to get the green energy projects up would be extended, and you wouldn't have to do this, inflation reduction stuff as aggressively. You could still do it. You just don't have to do it aggressively. I'm sorry, I'm taking a political stance on our show,
it's
but
good.
It really is. Gas should be just as much as our future as windmills or solar or anything else. It really should be, and I think we'll get there.
Yeah, it speaks to balance. I mean, I think the rational person looks at all of this, the energy business, and says, it's not a one or the other. It's balance, right? It's you need natural gas to generate electricity at nighttime. You can utilize the sun and solar and wind projects during the day. Morning and evening times are big for wind, right? You can get that generation during those periods of time, but with a balance of natural gas and wind and solar and all these things, that's the reality. And that's what a rational person, I think most rational people in America think, unless they have an agenda, right? And the fact is, there's a place for a landman in all those. And that's where we want to be, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah. Brent, I saw you take another pour there of the Macallan 12 whenever I asked about predictions. What predictions do you have for the upcoming year?
Well, hopefully I'm drinking out of celebration and not to drown my sorrows. But as a landman, I mean, we all know to expect the unexpected. I feel next year's from a landman's perspective should be pretty good. We're not. The encouraging thing is we're not seeing this berserk, bonkers growth, right? We're not seeing private equity throwing, billions of dollars at the oil and gas space. We're seeing dollars in the renewable space, but it's not anything crazy, right? So good, steady growth, disciplined activity by our clients. That's all encouraging, right? There's a steady amount of work. We're not adding hundreds of landmen a month. We're adding 10. We're adding 15 month over month, which is good. So, I think next year is going to be more of the same. I'm encouraged by it. We've had a couple down years. We deserve a couple good years. A couple of the right jobs come in for Dudley Land. It's a big deal. It's a big game changer for us. So I'm encouraged about it. I think we're entering kind of a new season. Our space is so cyclical, right? Now we're the season of growth and maybe bringing in new people into the business. And I hope when we have this, episode 22, the end of next year, that we're talking about how excited we are about, the 20 or 30 new landmen that we brought into Dudley Land, and some of the exciting things we're seeing out of some of the young people that have joined our company, and that's what I'm looking at 2023. 2023 is going to be the year that we hire a new Steve, a new Brandon, and a new Brent at Dudley Land Company.
There we go.
Come on.
Crush me. Yeah, I agree. I like the curve that we're on. It's a steady, consistent curve as opposed to the sharp peaks, right? I hope that curve keeps consistent and steady. I think that's what this industry needs. You need some steadiness. You need some consistency. Of course, it's never going to be consistent, though. I mean, it's the energy business. There's going to be ups and downs. But ultimately, when you're looking at that chart, you hope to see something steadily increasing and consistently increasing. And I agree with Brent 100%. I think 2023 you're going to see more of that. The plus side, as we've talked about previously, is you're hoping you get that new blood in, the new, smart, educated group of land professionals that could be the next Brent, Steve, and Brandon. However odd that sounds coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But
We're old.
We're old. I'm 40. I'm a man.
Yeah.
I'm a grown man.
We're generation 3. We want generation 4 to come up and step up and do what they need to do, right? So, all joking aside, really, we want generation 4 to step up. We want that next young guy that's with us now, and 20 years from now, they're still with us, or 15, or whatever it is, and they can take over the reins of what we all believe is a great company with great morals and ethics, and continue that legacy.
I think, though, that what you're going to see is with these large oil and gas companies, they've been burned how many times in the past 7-8 years? I think there's now a much bigger push to provide, especially for the traded companies, provide for their stockholders. They're not going to make these ridiculous pushes as they have in the past. I see it as much more of a steady growth instead of a really quick growth. So I'm really hoping that 5-10 years down the road, we have a oil and gas sector that is very steady and not so volatile. I'm hoping that's what happens. And as you push in the renewable companies with that, a lot of them being funded by oil and gas companies, that you're going to see a steady energy output, and it's not going to be as crazy as we've seen it in the past decade.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to go back and listen to this episode, see where we're at, but always good to get you guys' feedback. And I think we can end this episode with how we started it. I have no idea what NFL teams you support except for Steve.
Mitch Trubisky, baby. Mitch Trubisky. Let's go.
Yeah, games this weekend. That's gonna be hilarious. I can't wait to watch him start and talk to you about that, Steve.
Yeah, I'm really excited about our next week's meeting. Yeah.
Y'all know me. I'm about them Hoodats. About them Saints.
Them Saints. I figured that was
which
the
is
case.
fitting. I've lived a tortured existence my entire life being a Saints fan, so the oil and gas is perfect for me.
Yeah, perfect. So who do you have? You have Jameis Winston, is that right?
Famous Jameis.
Famous Jameis. He's got some of the funniest quotes, man. Whew.
Man, I mean, he's a man after my own soul because I'm pretty goofy. But I'm not the quarterback for the Saints. I'm just a landman.
Yeah, he's the man that made Jimbo Fisher famous, right? I mean, Jimbo's known as the quarterback guru now, and the only quarterback he's ever had is Jameis Winston.
All right, so if we're going to go back on these episodes later, here's my prediction. Okay. Mitch Trubisky gets hurt second game. Kenny Pickett comes in. New Ben Roethlisberger takes him to the playoffs. that only wins one Super Bowl. It's going to be great.
Okay, Kenny Pickett, you're going hard with him.
I'm going
I
hard.
love
Kenny
that he
Pickett.
stayed in Pitt.
I mean, he's a
That's
Pitt
great.
guy, so I'm a Penn State guy. So I'm trusting him.
Wow, that means a lot.
Well, you
Brent,
should.
Brent, who's your team?
I have no NFL team.
No
I don't
NFL
care.
team. Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
NFL
no,
teams in Arkansas.
No, Arkansas. If you're from Arkansas, you're usually either a Chiefs fan
Or
or a
Cowboys.
Chicago fan or Cowboys. Cowboys is probably
Yeah,
most
Jerry
fans.
Jones is from Arkansas, right?
Jerry Jones is from Arkansas. Married a lady in Arkansas. Yeah, he's.
Did you see his oil? His oil holdings are now worth more than the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a little company called Comstock.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Little
Jerry's-
company. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry's doing well, man.
Jerry's
Comstock
all right.
is all get out, man. They're so active. Matter of fact, you can't see my whiteboard, but they are on my "Will you be my friend" list. Shout out to Comstock, Dudley Land, pretty awesome, really great,
And we love you.
and we love you. No, you don't know who we are. Maybe one day.
One day. Hey, what is it? Is the University of Texas has like massive holdings or something like that? They were donated land that who knows about that?
Like UT land system. So like what is now known as the Permian Basin around the world, they own a tremendous amount of fee land and minerals, or they own the mineral interests sold off the surface. So yeah, they make a ton of money, which is how Texas and A&M are able to pay all these college players now, and they're going to be in the top 5 every year because they're making Jerry Jones money.
Yeah.
From all that Permian stuff.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
Yeah, that's how that works. It's really
That's
a cool
cool.
thing. It's great for the state. It's really a ton of money from the Permian Basin goes to the Texas education system, which is a big deal. And University of Texas and Texas A&M are great universities. They receive a lot from the oil and gas business.
Yeah.
Pretty cool deal, actually.
You've been converted from Louisiana, Brent. You're all
No.
Texas now.
No, I'm not. Like my poor daughter, God bless her heart. So we're in Texas, right? And today it was like maroon and white day at her school. And she was heartbroken this morning. She said, "Dad, I don't own anything maroon." I was like, "You that's right. Put on that purple dress, girl, and get to school. Peace out."
Oh, that's so good. Man. Well, this has been fun, guys. Glad that we were able to introduce cocktails to the Dudley Roundtable. Now we've got officially cocktail
Cheers.
hour with Dudley. So, yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for being a part. And yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Go Tigers.
Go home.
Thanks for listening to The Land Department. Check out our website in the show notes or visit dudley-land.com to learn more about us.